Hello students, welcome to MBA 360. We've been covering a lot of B schools that we thought you should be looking at, and one of them that we're about to cover now is Welingkar Institute of Management. Welingkar is not a new age MBA factory. It's an institution with history, intent and a long-standing commitment to management education in India. Built under the SP Mandali Trust, Welingkar has educated generations of managers long before management education became a marketing exercise. With its Mumbai and Bangalore campuses, the institute positions itself as an intersection of industry exposure and classroom learning. Let me take you through data of why you must be looking at this institute and keeping that as a very good option for yourself. In an era where MBA outcomes matter more than brochures, it's important to separate legacy from reality. Who should choose Welingkar today? What kind of roles does it actually prepare you for? And what should students realistically expect when they join Welingkar Institute of Management? This video answers exactly that and more. What we'll discuss now is the selection process, the eligibility criteria, the weightages, the placements, the fees, the kind of companies that come for placement. We'll discuss all these details in this particular thing. What is Welingkar? As an institute, it was founded in 1977. So almost 5 decades of legacy. Just imagine the kind of alumni that will spread all over the country and beyond that also, who studied at Welingkar, benefited from Welingkar and would be happy to hold hands of any student who passed through the gates of Welingkar. That is what a legacy institution would always do for you. This is an affiliated college. It's private in nature, of course. Total students is 1,422 based on the last available data, NIRF. And it's ranked 75th best under the NRF thing. Now this, I have an opinion about this. In my opinion, Welingkar deserves far better than this. The problem why this happens is, whenever a B school innovates and starts creating niche programs, like these people have something in rural management, something in healthcare management, and so on and so forth, the median salaries typically fall because it's a new program, and it's also an innovation that the country needs. But NRF, in a certain sense, punishes those institutions which are innovating and creating very niche programs. I hope NRF also corrects themselves on that, but 70th best, I would always put it at between 50 and 60. That is my rank profile for Welingkar Institute of Management. Of course, because it's in Bombay, it's legacy and all those things work in its favor, right? Of the 1,422 students, 58% are boys and 42% are girls. And about 47% students come from outside the state of Maharashtra. Right? So that is what we're dealing with, and 98 faculty. So it's 1:15 kind of a faculty ratio is what we have. Now let's look at the data that's been submitted by Welingkar to the Government of India, which is to the NIRF, which is National Institutional Ranking Framework. This data is submitted on an affidavit. So this data is more authentic than what you have on the marketing brochures otherwise. So what we're looking at is only that data that is submitted to the Government of India, which means it is a lot more authentic than what your marketing brochures would talk of. When you look at that, the total admitted students were 668, right? Of which graduated was 653. And 635 students were placed. Now that's a very good number, which is a 95% placement rate. And the average salary is 11.67 lakh rupees. So across the board, if you see this, 95% placement, 11.67 lakh kind of an average salary is very, very good. Previously, it was 10.5 lakh was the average salary and 95% again was the placement rate. So they seem to be placing students very, very well. One of the things that I'd always tell you is about this opting out for higher studies, right? Now, if you look at some of the B schools that are submitting data, they actually show a lot more students opting for higher studies. I would always say is to a college, a B school especially, when they show, the lower the number of students they show as opting for higher studies, it means the data is more credible. And the simple reason is this: they move students to opting for higher studies so that they can show 100% placement. Like if, for example, in this particular case, if Welingkar were to submit 18 students as having moved to higher studies, they would have shown 100% placement. But they don't do that. The fact that they showed 0 students moving for higher studies, this data seems to be very, very authentic and very credible, if I would add that, right? So here we have 95% kind of placement at about close to 12 lakh rupees kind of an average salary. That is very, very good, right? Now moving further, what is the highest domestic salary that they have? 40 lakhs. Again, this is another thing that you should be very careful about. You need to start looking at institutions for talking of this domestic part of it, because a lot of people, they show the highest package, but it's an international package. But the moment you say domestic, it means that this 40 lakhs is offered to a student who's joining a company in India, and that is 40 lakh rupees. And the domestic salary average is 11.68 lakhs as we discussed earlier, right? So what are the programs that they offer? They actually offer a PGDM program, 180 students, E-Business 120, Business Design 120, Healthcare 60, Rural Management 60, Retail Management 60, Research and Business Analytics 120, and Media Entertainment 60. So look at the kind of variance of program variables of kind of program that they offer, which is where you actually see a lot of numbers on the other side, because some of these programs might not actually have as much demand as what a business design or PGDM program. This, of course, is the flagship program that they have, started in 1977, right? And look at the year when they started. This PGDM was started in 1994. E-Business was started in 2007. Business Design in 2008. Healthcare in 2011. Rural Management in 2012. Retail Management in 2012. Now, the reason why Retail Management comes in is because Bombay, it's a hub of all these retail activities, and also you need a program, right? And same thing with Rural Management. This is a program that's created so that because the nation wants it, maybe the state of Maharashtra wants it a lot more. So that's why they created this program also. Research and Business Analytics, 120 seats. 2016 they started. And Media and Entertainment, because Bombay is a hub of media, they started a program in 2016. So they actually have all kinds of programs coming up in Bombay. And been there for a long time. That's one thing. Like the last program that they launched is 10 years old, right? So there seems to be some kind of a traction because of which they really are able to push this program. Now, what are the companies that come for placement? All kinds of companies. Strategy and Consulting, Amazon, Barclays, a bank, Bloomberg Financial Services, Capgemini, Citi, Deloitte, Deutsche Bank, EY Consulting, FactSet, GEP, Goldman Sachs, Investment Bank, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Infosys Tech Company, Invesco Limited, KPMG Consulting, Lenovo, Mahindra and Financial Services, Maruti, Micron, Morgan Stanley Investment Bank, NSE, of course you all know that, Oracle Financial Services, PwC Consulting, Reliance Retail, SG Analytics, SIFI Technologies, SMFG, India Credit Company, Thermax, TransUnion, Thermax is in Pune, TransUnion, Sibyl, WNS Global. So you actually have all kinds of companies, banks, financial service companies, investment banks, consulting companies, manufacturing companies, FMCG companies. So you actually have all kinds of companies coming in for placement. And remember, when an institution is based in Bombay, it has this advantage because it's a corporate hub for India. And because it's a corporate hub of India, you actually have all those companies stationed in Bombay, because of which they'll also go to the best B school out there. And Welingkar being in the top 2-3 out there, they will obviously go there for recruitment purposes. Now, they also have a Bangalore campus, I told you, because remember, whenever you actually deal with an institution which is in a big city where there are a lot of offices, especially for MBA, it has a very big advantage, which is the reason why Welingkar also opened in Bangalore. This was opened in 2008, so it's 18 years old. They offer a PGDM, of course. It's standalone institution, it's a private. Students are 487. Our ranking is 51 ranking for private. Total about 62% are boys, 38% are girls. And about 97% of the students come from outside the state of Karnataka. Now, when we look at this, because we are talking of both Welingkar institutions, that's the reason why we're talking of this. 206 students, were admitted in 2023, of which 203 graduated, 185 were placed, close to 90% placement rate at 10.6 lakh rupees. And this is the advantage that you have when you have companies in Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi and these kind of places, because there are a lot of companies stationed out there, and to that extent, if you're a decent or a good institution, your placements are more or less assured, which is what seems to be happening here also, right? And the numbers have been pretty consistent. Earlier it was 10 lakh, now it's 10.6 lakh. Last year it was 93% placement, now it's about 90% placement, right? But I keep saying, whenever I see this opt-out for higher studies as 0, I feel very good about it, which means that the institution is very correct in its data presentation, because a lot of B schools these days pushing students to opt out of placement process and show it as opting for higher studies, so that they can remove that from the overall to be placed students and show a higher percentage of placement, which these people don't seem to have done. Now here again, for Bangalore, the highest salary is 18.75 lakh and the average salary is 11 lakhs. So again, a very good traction and a decent salary that's happening here. And it's not that the average is, spoiled because of one student got a 50 lakh, 1 crore kind of an offer. This seems to be a very linear way of dealing with this average data also. Now, what are the programs that they offer? They started in 2009 with 60 students in PGDM, right? And then they have E-Business, which was started in 2008, PGDM E-Business. In 2010, they started Business Design, 30 students, and Research and Business Analytics, 60 students. In 2016, they started. So the last program that they started is 10 years back. Now, what are the companies that come for recruitment here? Accenture, Dell, Deloitte. So now you look at the companies that were going to Bombay versus here, you'll see a lot more Bangalore-centric companies that are coming in, like Accenture, Dell, Deloitte, FactSet, ICICI Bank, Scrabble, ICICI Prudential, Infosys, Oracle, Salesforce, Oracle India, Wells Fargo, Wipro, Xebia, Volvo, MG Motors, Prudential Digit, Tangentia, Schneider, Phoenix Compliance, Gains PRO, Credex, Nocraft, Landmark Dubai, Red Bull, TTK Prestige, again Bangalore, Strides, Urban Brands, again Bangalore, Salesforce. So you actually have Dell Technologies. So you suddenly see a shift in the kind of companies that are coming for placement here, where the biggest Bangalore-based companies are coming for placement at Welingkar Bangalore. Now, how do you get into it? For Bangalore, it is a minimum 50% in graduation, which must be completed by June 2026, right? And the candidate should have taken the CAT examination, CAT, XAT, ATMA, CMAT or GMAT, any of these things, right? And the selection process is unique profile-based selection process, assigns significant value to academic performances, work experience, group discussion, personal interview, along with the written test scores. So that is how you actually do the selection process. So there's a decent amount of weightage for the profile of the student and not just the CAT examination. Now, what is the selection criteria weightage? For PGDM, E-Business and those kind of things, it's 75%. For CAT, XAT, GMAT and all. And for ATMA, it's 80%. For PGDM Business Design and Innovation, 70% across all entrance tests. So you actually have a different weightage for the CAT exam or the XAT exam, the entrance examination score, which is 75 or 70. And for ATMA, it's 80% for certain kind of programs. You must look at it very closely. Go through the prospectus, you will get a better idea of these things also. Now for Welingkar Mumbai, what is the admission criteria? For PGDM E-Business Research and Business Analytics, 80% weightage is for the CAT, XAT and GMAT scores. And for Retail, PGDM Media and Entertainment, 75% weightage, right? For ATMA, it's 85% and 80%, right? And for PGDM Healthcare and Rural Management, it is 70% for CAT, the entrance exam scores, and 30% for the kind of profile that you build. So very clearly, the weightage is 70% and above, going up to 80% also, depending on which course you're dealing with. That is what the thing is. But there is a decent weightage for you for the profile that you have and the academics that you had in the past and work experience and those kind of things. Now, what is the tuition fees? 7 lakhs per annum is the tuition fees, plus about 1.6 lakh to 2.2 lakh for the hostels. So we're dealing with about all put together about 8.5 lakh rupees, 9 lakh rupees kind of a thing. So between the 2 years plus travel and all, you're touching about 20 lakh rupees, all expenditure put together. And it's obviously subject to change and all those kind of things. And some of it, there is also a deposit of 10,000 rupees, which is refundable. So that's what we have, this Welingkar about. If you want me to cover any other B school, please write to me here and I'll be happy to cover that. For us, it's important for you to understand through data of how you must choose a B school, and that's why we covered Welingkar out here. We hope you get this data. We hope you understand what Welingkar stands for and why you should choose it and why, the kind of information that you have that makes you choose that. You want me to cover anything else, please, write to me and I'll be happy to cover that. Thank you so much. Namaste.